There is a weird thing about unusually intelligent people. Most of them do not walk into a room wearing a little mental crown. Annoying, I know. Ruins the movie. They are not always the loudest person at the table. They are not always correcting everybody's facts, ruining dinner, and saying technically like it's a love language. Sometimes they look distracted, tired, quiet, like they are holding back a sentence they have already edited in their head 6 times and still hate. And that is exactly where people misread them. The popular version of high IQ is dramatic. Genius enters, solves the impossible problem. Everyone gasps. Credits roll. Cute. But real intelligence is usually less theatrical and way more inconvenient. It changes how a person handles noise, uncertainty, emotion, work, people, boredom, and rest. A sharp mind does not just think faster. It notices more, compares more, picks up what other people politely leave lying on the floor. So the biggest signs often get mislabeled. Distance gets called arrogance. Restlessness gets called anxiety. Sensitivity gets called weakness. Doubt gets called incompetence. Silence gets called rejection. Nice little mess, right? Here are 11 psychological traits often found in people with very high IQs, and why people keep getting them wrong. Sign 1. They need more silence than most people understand. The first sign is not that they hate people. Relax. They are not secretly planning to move into a cave and communicate only through books. Social noise just drains them faster than most people expect. Highly intelligent people often choose solitude because their mind keeps working even when, from the outside, nothing is happening. Quiet gives them space to sort, compare, question, rebuild, and figure out what the hell they actually think. For a brain that is constantly turning information into patterns, a busy environment can feel like 10 browser tabs open, while somebody keeps clicking New tab with greasy fingers. Beautiful? No. Accurate? Very. For many high IQ people, silence is not emptiness. It is maintenance. It is the mental equivalent of taking the battery out, cleaning the contacts, and putting the whole machine back together. But here is the annoying twist. When the world finally gets quiet, their thoughts often get louder. And that is where the next problem starts. Sign 2. Their thoughts keep running in the background. The second sign is a mind that almost never powers down. You know how some people can sit on a couch and simply exist? Magical creatures. For a lot of highly intelligent people, even rest comes with background processing. One part of the mind is watching the room. Another is replaying a sentence from 3 hours ago. Another is testing an argument. Another is spotting an inconsistency. Another is inventing a future problem no one asked for and already trying to solve it. The body is still. The brain is doing parkour. Psychologist Kazimierz Dabrowski called this intellectual overexcitability, physical calm while the mind is running laps. That inner engine creates insight. It also makes rest weirdly difficult. They are not choosing to overthink like it is a hobby. Their brain keeps connecting loose pieces until something coherent shows up. And sometimes it does. At 2:17 in the morning, obviously. Because why would your brain respect normal business hours? And when a mind processes that much, it often does not stop at ideas. It amplifies feeling too. Sign 3. Their emotions are often stronger than their face suggests. The third sign punches a hole in a very lazy stereotype. People assume intelligence makes someone cold, robotic, emotionally laminated. But many highly intelligent people do not feel less. They feel with more detail. They may notice subtle changes in tone, carry moral concern like a backpack full of bricks, or feel empathy so strongly it becomes physically uncomfortable. They might hear a song and feel it in their chest. They might remember someone else's humiliation for hours. They might sense tension in a room before anyone admits there is tension, because apparently everyone else has agreed to pretend the emotional smoke alarm is not screaming. Fun party trick. Terrible nervous system. The confusing part is that many of them learn to hide this early. A child called too intense becomes an adult who edits their face. They learn not to leak emotion into the room. They learn to look calm, controlled, reasonable. So people see the control and assume there is nothing underneath. bad read. Underneath, there may be more feeling than they know how to explain without sounding dramatic. And the more layers they perceive, the harder simple answers become. Which brings us to one of the most underrated signs. Sign 4. They can admit uncertainty without feeling defeated. The fourth sign is intellectual humility. Yes, humility. Not the fake kind where someone says, "I'm just a humble genius," and you immediately want to leave. A very intelligent person is often more willing to say, "I'm not sure," than someone who knows far less. That sounds backward only if you confuse confidence with accuracy. And people do that constantly. The Dunning-Kruger effect shows how limited knowledge can make a subject look simpler than it is. When you know only a little, the whole thing looks neat and manageable. When you know more, suddenly there are exceptions, hidden variables, bad data, missing context, and little traps everywhere. So hesitation is not always insecurity. Sometimes it is precision. They are not refusing to answer. They are refusing to give the evidence more confidence than it deserves. That is why the smartest person in the room may say, "I need more information." And somebody else hears that and thinks, "Weak." No, buddy, careful. There is a difference. To a careful mind, uncertainty is not failure. It is honesty. And once someone sees complexity that clearly, they start craving conversations with people who can see it too. Which, sadly, is where things get lonely. Sign 5. They rarely find conversations that go far enough. The fifth sign is one many intelligent people do not love admitting. They get lonely in conversation. Not because everyone else is beneath them. Do not make it weird. It is not some villain monologue about being surrounded by peasants. They just struggle to find enough depth, nuance, or curiosity in ordinary exchanges. A conversation stays on the surface while their mind is already 3 layers down, tapping its foot. The subject changes right when the question finally gets interesting. And there they are, sitting with a half-built thought in their mouth like, "Oh, we are talking about weather now. Great. Love moisture." They are not bored with people. They are starved for a certain kind of mental contact. Over time, they learn to shorten explanations. They hide unusual questions. They stop making connections out loud after seeing that face. You know the face. The one that says, "Why did you bring ancient trade routes into a conversation about coffee?" Fair question. Still rude. This restraint can look like distance, but often it is protection. Protection from overwhelming the room. Protection from being disappointed again. Protection from hearing, "You think too much," from someone who thinks vibes is a full argument. But when someone finally follows the whole thread, they open up fast, sometimes with alarming intensity, because finally, the door is not locked. And if they find better information while they are talking, do not be surprised if they change their mind. Sign 6. They update their views when reality pushes back. The sixth sign is mental flexibility. Highly intelligent people may defend an idea today and revise it tomorrow when better evidence shows up. To some people, that looks inconsistent. To them, it is the price of not being wrong on purpose. Real problems rarely respect your first assumption. A rigid mind treats being wrong as humiliation. A flexible mind treats being wrong as information. And yes, intelligent people can have egos. Big ones, weird ones, fragile ones wrapped in footnotes. But the stronger ones can separate identity from one conclusion. The goal is not to protect yesterday's opinion like it is a family heirloom. The goal is to keep the internal map close to reality. If the map is wrong, update the map. Do not yell at the mountain. They may not be loyal to a position. They may be loyal to evidence. That can annoy people who want a clean team jersey. Are you on this side or that side? And the answer is, I am on the side where the facts stop embarrassing themselves. Because they keep updating, they often watch longer before they speak. And while they are watching, they notice more than people think. Sign 7. They notice more than they reveal. The seventh sign is quiet observation. In a group, the highly intelligent person may not rush to fill every silence like it is a hole in the floor. They may seem passive, detached, maybe even bored. Meanwhile, they are collecting data like a suspicious little satellite. They notice who interrupts whom, which joke makes the room tighten. The difference between the official topic and the emotional topic. Who has status? Who is performing? Who is pretending not to be angry and doing a terrible job, by the way? This is not mind reading. Let's not turn it into magic. It is pattern detection. Tone, timing, hierarchy, contradiction, and context arrive together. They may need a second because they are not responding to one sentence. They are responding to the whole system around it. That is why quiet people get underestimated so often. People mistake speed of speech for depth of thought. Bad trade. The person saying very little may understand the room best. They may simply be deciding whether speaking is worth the energy. And sometimes, that same ability to see too much creates another problem. They delay the very things that matter most. Sign 8. They delay the projects they care about most. The 8th sign can sting a little. Highly intelligent people may procrastinate most on the work they actually care about. Routine tasks. Done. Emails? Handled. Random annoying errands? Fine. But the meaningful project, the one that matters, untouched, sitting there, judging them, not because they do not care, because starting exposes the gap between the perfect version in their mind and the ugly little first version in reality. And the first version is always ugly. That is the deal. They see flaws before they even begin. They imagine the ideal so clearly that a rough draft feels insulting. So they wait. They research more, organize more, refine the plan. Tell themselves they just need one clean weekend, one uninterrupted day, one perfect block of time blessed by angels and free of emails. Sure, the delay is not ordinary laziness. It is perfectionism mixed with foresight. The mind sees the mountain before the feet take one step. And when a brain needs challenge but fears imperfect output, boredom becomes dangerous too. Because if life gets too repetitive, the whole system starts to itch. Sign 9. They become restless. When life gets too repetitive, the 9th sign is a fast loss of interest when life becomes predictable. Highly intelligent people often need more novelty, complexity, and challenge than others realize. A routine that feels stable to someone else may feel mentally airless to them. The pattern is learned. The outcome is obvious. The structure is understood. Now what? Repetition can feel like rereading a book after memorizing every sentence. And no, this does not mean they lack discipline. Let's not be lazy with the diagnosis. Their engagement just responds strongly to new information. The brain wants friction, a problem, a puzzle, a new angle, something with teeth. That appetite can lead to new fields, skills, books, careers, questions, obsessions, and sudden late-night searches that begin with "how does" and end 4 hours later with medieval architecture. From the outside, it can look unstable. From the inside, it feels like survival. They are not always chasing chaos. They are chasing aliveness in the mind. But when the world offers too little meaningful difficulty, attention often turns inward, and sometimes it turns against them. Sign 10. They doubt themselves more than people expect. The 10th sign is recurring self-questioning. People assume a very intelligent person must feel superior and certain. Some do, and they are exhausting. But many do not. Many doubt themselves not because they lack ability, but because they see the distance between good and excellent with painful clarity. As knowledge grows, awareness of the unknown grows too. A beginner sees a hill. An expert sees the mountain range behind it, the storm coming over the ridge, and 3 ways the map is probably wrong. That is the curse. They know what they missed. They know what could improve. They know how many assumptions are hiding inside a confident statement. So they may achieve something impressive and still notice the defect first. They receive praise and immediately see the weaker part. Someone says, "That was amazing." Their brain says, "Page 4 was sloppy. Rude little roommate." But their doubt is not proof intelligence is missing. Sometimes it proves their standards are operating at a level nobody else can even see. And if you live like that long enough, questioning, noticing, editing, updating, holding back, needing more, one feeling tends to settle underneath everything. A feeling of being slightly out of sync. Sign 11. They often feel out of sync with their surroundings. The 11th sign sits underneath all the others. Many highly intelligent people carry a persistent feeling that they do not fully belong. Not dramatically, not always with violins and staring out of rainy windows. More like a faint misalignment. They are in the room, but not on the same frequency. They participate, but some central part of them has nowhere to land. This is not automatically a disorder. Do not slap a label on every strange feeling and call it insight. It can come from living with a mind that processes more layers than the environment asks for. If you need more solitude, deeper conversation, constant challenge, and you still question yourself after all that, ordinary life may feel mismatched. Not broken, mismatched. There is a difference, and it matters. They may suffer not because they are special, but because they cannot compress their inner experience into forms other people understand. Try explaining a whole weather system to someone who only asked if it was raining. That is the problem. And once you see that, all the earlier signs look different. The pattern across these 11 traits is not random. Each one is easy to mislabel. Quiet gets called antisocial. A constantly moving mind gets called anxious. Strong emotion becomes too sensitive. Uncertainty becomes weakness. Depth becomes difficulty. Revision becomes inconsistency. Careful observation looks passive. Meaningful delay looks lazy. A need for novelty looks restless. Self-doubt looks insecure. Feeling out of place looks strange. But one explanation ties them together. A very high IQ mind is not simply a faster ordinary mind. It is often a more demanding instrument. It takes in more, compares more, and detects more contradictions. It needs more silence, challenge, depth, and precision than many environments provide. That creates real advantages and real costs. Seeing more can make life heavier. Feeling more can make relationships harder to explain. Thinking further ahead can create hesitation before the first imperfect step. So here is the part people love to skip. High intelligence is not only a gift of capability, it is also a different way of being exposed to the world. Less filter, more signal, more possibility, more noise. And for many people, the hardest part is not being intelligent. It is being misunderstood because their intelligence does not look like the version others were taught to recognize. No dramatic entrance, no magic speech, no glowing forehead that says genius. Sometimes it just looks like a quiet person needing space, doubting their own work, noticing too much, and trying not to make everyone uncomfortable by saying the thing they already saw 5 minutes ago. If one of these signs described you more accurately than expected, write the number in the comments. Not as a badge, not as a diagnosis, just as a way of naming something that may have been hard to explain. And if this video reminded you of someone distant, intense, restless, or way too hard on themselves, send it to them. They may not need another compliment. They may need language. I'm Turner. Subscribe for more videos about psychology, intelligence, personality, and the hidden patterns behind human behavior. Goodbye, and I'll see you in the next one.